the host of the Gridiron.
All right, welcome to the Gridiron, baby. If you can give this video a thumbs up or maybe share this video, that would be absolutely freaking phenomenal. If you subscribe to my channel, thank you. If not, please go down below, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell icon. That way next time I go live or if I put a video out, you'll be notified. And it's free of charge. It's totally free of charge. What do you got to lose? But if you're subscribed to my channel, thank you. If you want to help support my channel out, description box below, very top link takes you to my membership page. I got 3 different membership levels. Each one has their own little perks to them. So once again, if you want to help support my channel out, it would mean so much to me. And I thank you in advance once again. Thank you. And then finally, just underneath that, there's another link takes you to my Facebook group. It's called the New York Giants, The Gridiron. It's my Facebook group. We have over 10,700 members in the group, and it is doing simply marvelous, might I add. Basically, if I'm alive and breathing, and if I got internet access, I am putting stuff in this group darn near 365. It's called the New York Giants, The Gridiron. It's my Facebook group. Please join it. You will not be dissatisfied. I promise. Well, I'll tell you what, one thing I do like, with Kafka, he's coming in, right, making his own, obviously making his own little changes. Would be interesting. Would be, obviously ain't never gonna know, what would if Daboll was still here, what would he have done? Because Dart doesn't look like it's very difficult to get a concussion on Sunday and then the following Sunday clear all the protocols and everything and be able to play the following Sunday. Very, very difficult. So, it's sure Dart's not going to be playing. So, one thing I do like this, he's make it interesting. No doubt about it. I love the guy. His freaking attitude to being a teammate, the way he speaks to people, treats everybody, freaking absolutely believable. I'm thrilled to death this freaking guy's on our team. Really am. Of course, just because you're a nice guy doesn't mean, well, he's a real nice guy. He should play some football. Well, it doesn't always mean that, right? But, I really think that this is the best choice. Obviously, especially, the Packers, their defense is pretty damn good. They held the Eagles to 10 points. Of course, I think the Packers left their offense, I think it was in Carolina the week before. I think that the offense, because they didn't play very well against Carolina, I think they were walking back to Green Bay and didn't quite make it back to the game in time. So, they scored 7 points. Anyway, I just can't say it because it was against the Eagles. But the defense is, obviously with the acquisition of Micah Parsons is very, very special. Now, there's going to have an offensive theme to it here. My whole presentation here tonight. But I really like this. This move putting Winston in there as a starting quarterback. Now, it might just be for the 1 week. Because obviously, Jaxson Dart is the quarterback of the future for the Giants, so as long as he can abstain from getting many more concussions, because, as they say, you get the first one, it's a little easier to get the second one, and then it's a little easier to get the third one, and then it's even a little easier to get the fourth one, and that's not a road you want to go down. Right? Don't want to go, I get it. You want to play and all that stuff and everything, but you got to think long term too. If you want to play long term, you want to be the quarterback for the next 10 plus years for the New York Giants, you got to start taking care. Right? It's like, I can see, obviously if you get injuries, if your knees go, or, you keep breaking your hand, whatever, you get bloody noses, or you keep having problems with your turf toe or something, okay. If you got to retire from that, okay. But you know what? You can live with, turf toe. Well, I had a lot of turf toe, and it just kept, I did surgery, and I kept having problems, and I had a problem with my foot, and I just couldn't last that long in the NFL. I was always having problems with my, like maybe an Andrew Thomas or something like that, right? Ankles and feet. Oh my, right? I was always having some kind of problem, and I just cut my career short. I just had to retire. Okay, that's one thing, but you're still alive, right? You start messing with this up here. A lot of people making fun of Cam Scatterboo and the CTE and all that and everything. I can understand, I can understand the jokes and all that, but if you got that, that's not funny. That's not funny. It causes you, some big time issues. Big time issues. Just look at the called Concussion. Will Smith is the star of the movie. Mike Webster is like in the beginning of the movie. He's the one who winds up killing him, committing suicide. I believe it is. He had CT. He was the center for the Pittsburgh Steelers for all 4 of their Super Bowls back in the 70s. He was part of the greatest draft class ever. The 74 Pittsburgh Steelers. They drafted 4 Hall of Famers. I mean, that's the greatest draft class of all time. But Mike Webster was one of them. He was the center, but his head just got scrambled. Playing football, and you don't think of it at the time. You're a warrior and all that stuff and everything. I said you don't think of it at the time, but you need that, right? And things start going bad. It cost you your life. Thankfully, being an old fart that I am, there's a lot of things that I can't stand about the NFL today. I just can't stand. I like dirt. I like grass. I like mud. A lot of things I like. Right? One thing I do like about today's game is that the player safety. I do like that, especially with the helmets and all that stuff, and shots to the head, and I can certainly because. Nothing will cut your career shorter than an injury. And so many stars that I seen when I first started growing up, unbelievable stars had their careers cut short because of injury. It just is what it is. But anyway, meanwhile, back at the ranch, I started talking about Jameis Winston. I'm not talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers and everything. But hopefully, Dart, when he comes back, it might be in 2 weeks. Obviously, he's got the keys to the castle. Right? It's his show. But for the time being this week, we need another quarterback in there. So Russell Wilson will be quarterback number 2. I guess we're not going to have an emergency quarterback, I guess. All that there will be, obviously, provisions put in there, Kafka and everything. You just don't go in there with 2 quarterbacks. It's like, because if, say, both of them get injured, Kafka is not going to be standing on the sideline. Oh, we need another quarterback. I didn't think of that. That doesn't happen. They'll put somebody, a running back there, or just take snaps from the center or whatever, and whatever they got to do, right? But I like this a lot. One thing is Wilson obviously being short. One thing the Bears really seemed to do a good job of was when Wilson got in there, they started pressuring him up the middle. Now you can cut it off where he can't drift out one way or the other, or if the Giants don't have maybe a moving pocket or something, and you keep Wilson in the middle and you collapse the pocket, push it back, and he can't see. We're in trouble. But Winston, on the other hand, Mr. Winston, he's going to throw it. He's probably going to throw some to the Giants, and he might throw some to the backers too. It is what it is. But Winston is not shy of throwing the football. He's going to fill the sky with footballs. We're 2-8. It's not like we're 8-2. We're trying to get the number 1 seed, or we're trying to get to the play, whatever like that. And, he had a couple of costly interceptions. It doesn't. He's going to throw the football. Good. I want to see him throw the football. And, he's going to make some good throws. He might make some bad throws, but he'll certainly keep some things interesting. That's for darn sure. And I'm really glad, Kafka made him the starting quarterback. Really, really good. Now, so I forget, well, when was that there? I mean, a few years ago, though, now. But he threw for over 5,000 yards in a season. Now, he did throw 30 interceptions that one year. That's kind of hard to do and keep your job. Right? But I think he threw for 33. Well, let me share my screen here. Share screen. Mr. Winston. There you are. They show Mr. Winston his stats here. I forgot what year that was. There we go. 2019 was with Tampa Bay, his last year with them. I do apologize. He played in all 16 games, started and played in all 16 games. They were 7-9. Threw the ball 626 times. Completed 60% of his passes. You see right here, look. Then again, some of the teams he was never on, fantastic teams. When he got drafted by Tampa Bay, he got drafted number 1 overall. Why did he get drafted by Tampa? Because they were not very good. It is what it is. Then he went to New Orleans, and he was backing up Breeze for like a year or so, I guess it was. And then, of course, he was with Cleveland, and that's always been pretty much a dumpster fire over the past couple of years. It's their quarterback situation has just not been very good. But you'll notice here is that, Jameson doesn't complete passes. Some guys are like 66, 67%. Some guys maybe even a little bit more. Well, he's around 60, 61. So. But as I said, this one year he threw 626 passes, which is what, 16. So he threw almost 40 passes a game. He threw 39 passes a game on average for Tampa Bay in 2019. 39 passes, that's not a winning formula. But he threw for over 5,000 yards, 5,100 yards. As I said, he only completed 60% of his passes. Imagine if he completed 65, 66%. Yeah, but I don't know what that would have been, 5,400 yards passing. But here's it, right? He threw for 33 touchdowns. So he threw for, basically 2 touchdowns a game. But he also threw for almost 2 interceptions a game as well, too. So he can throw the ball. He said his first year as a rookie, 4,000 yards. Second year, 4,000 yards. Then 35. He missed a couple of games, missed 3 games, and he still threw for 3,500. So if he played the whole season, he would have threw once again for over 4,000. Here for Tampa Bay, he only played. He started 9, played in 11. But once again, if he played the whole season, he was only 1,000 yards short. If he played an additional 5 games. Started like at least another 5 games, played another 5, he would have once again had over 4,000 yards. So if he played all these games, the first 4 seasons, he would have had 4,000 yards passing each season. And his 5th season, he had 5,100 yards. So, well, you see, right? He has 154 career touchdowns, 111 interceptions. So it's not a pretty, Usually you like to get it, I don't know, 3-1, somewhere if you can, at least 2-1 touchdowns, interceptions. But he's what it is. But hopefully he'll make things interesting. If our defense, the Packers' offense is struggling. Okay, Packers out. So if we can keep them somewhat in check, I know I'm asking for a lot, especially with our run defense and everything, but if we can keep them, somewhat in check, Mr. Winston's only a pass or 2 away from tying the game up, so or putting his father ahead or whatever the case might be. But it might wind up being one of those things where, hey, we played pretty well, the defense played pretty well, but Winston had 2 costly interceptions that cost us maybe the game. But he should make it more interesting, because with Russell Wilson in there, he don't throw interceptions. He'll take sacks. So if there's pressure, he goes down, takes a sack, but we punt the ball. So, all right. So Winston named quarterback number 1 versus the Packers. With Jaxson Dart out for Sunday's game due to a concussion, Winston moment in the spotlight for the Giants has arrived. Giants interim head coach Mike Kafka confirmed to reporters on Wednesday that Wilson will start Sunday's game after being moved ahead of Russell Wilson on the depth chart. Ian Rapoport first reported the news. This will mark the first time all season that Winston is active for a game. He has been the emergency third-string quarterback for the first 10 games. Dart left Sunday's loss to the Bears prior to the start of the fourth quarter to be evaluated for concussion and didn't return to the game. The injury appeared to occur early in the third quarter when Dart took a hit from C.J. Gardner-Johnson that caused him to fumble the ball. He did play the first 2 snaps on New York's next possession before being replaced by Wilson. Jordan Renan noted after the game that Dart has been evaluated for concussion 4 times so far this season. You can't be taking that stuff lightly. This season will mark the first time that he sits out of a game due to an injury. Wilson replaced Dart and played the entire fourth quarter against the Bears. He finished 3 out of 7 for 45 yards as the Giants were outscored 14-3 in the final period and lost 24-20. I mean, the big one there was they got down to the 1-yard line and couldn't get it in. They got down to the 1 and couldn't score. I mean, that left 4 points on the board right there. Not saying the Giants would have still obviously won the game, but that left, you get down to the 1-yard line, you got to punch it in. But then again, that's the way the Giants season's been going. You got an opportunity, and the Giants fail at it. The Giants had an opportunity to stop the Bears on their 2 drives toward the end of the game. Couldn't do that. So Giants have had opportunities to either salt the game away or whatever, and always failed. Wilson started the season as the team's starting quarterback, going 1-2 in 3 games before being replaced by Dart in week 4. He had the one real game again, a great game against the Cowboys, but then he had the 2 clunkers against the Chiefs and against the Commanders. So, and also, plus, Winston's going to be here next year, so you're going to have Dart as a starting quarterback. Jameis Winston's going to be his backup. I guess the Giants will either bring in another quarterback, off the whatever the streets, somebody else, Prescott, whatever. Well, obviously, maybe draft one. A lot of that I'll have to wait and see who the next head coach is going to be, right? But, Winston's going to be here next year. So, Winston will be making his first start since week 15 last season with the Browns. He threw for 2,121 yards last season, 13 touchdowns with 12 interceptions in 12 appearances with Cleveland. Giants will hope that Winston can provide a spark to their offense and help them end their 4-game losing streak. Their 2-8 record is tied with the Saints for the worst in the NFC. And just what makes it worse is that, the Giants, could have beaten the Saints. Now, outplayed them. It's not often you have 5 consecutive possessions that result in turnovers. And the Giants still only lost by 12 points. And out of that, right, we had 5 consecutive drives that ended in turnovers, and out of that, one of them was at least a 10-point swing. Because we're going in, we got down, I guess around around the 15-yard line of the Saints. Scatterboo fumbles, the dude picks it up, runs it back 84, 86 yards, whatever it was, for a touchdown. So you give them 7 points, and we were in field goal range. So quite possibly we would have gotten at least 3 points, if not 7. Because we were walking up and down the field. The only one we were stopping ourselves by fumbling and throwing interceptions. Scatterboo fumbles the ball, and it's at least a 10-point swing right there. So we had 5 turnovers and 5 consecutive drives. We still only lost by 12 points to the Saints. We were better than that. Once again, that's the way this whole season's been going. Games we should have won, we were outplaying our opponents. We outplayed the Bears for 55 minutes. Bears outplayed us for 5 minutes of the whole game, and they wound up winning the game. It's like, that's the way it goes. It's the way the season's been going for the Giants. We had the lead with the Cowboys at 14 seconds to go, and somehow we let the Cowboys get in field goal range and kicked it 14 seconds. 5 turnovers to the Saints. The 33 points that the Broncos scored in the fourth quarter. 33 points. We're up 26-8 with like 10 minutes to go in the game or something. We're up by 3 scores with like 10 minutes to go in the game. It's just one thing after it's just unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. And when things just go bad, they just go bad. But I do like this. I really do like this move. Be a lot, with Russell Wilson, he'll be, he would certainly be protecting the ball. So he would take the sacks and he wouldn't be throwing interceptions. But Winston will be standing in the pocket throwing the ball. So who he's throwing the ball to, well, we'll find out Sunday, won't we? But one thing I really like, this kind of shows you where Kafka, right, is placing a stamp on on the team, right, for whatever it's worth. But so it was one of these things. I mean, I can't say I was scratching my head because I ain't I can't say I'm pulling my hair out over this one because I ain't got much hair. It's always one of those things. It's like, whatever that happened to, just some of those things. It's like, he did good. How come we can never find anything for him? It's like, kind of just, I don't know. Once again, things you're never going to know. If somebody ever talks to Isaiah Hodgins, right? Well, whatever happened? Why did the Giants? Blah, blah, blah. Isaiah will have his his say on it. But what was Daboll thinking? Or I mean, he had a phenomenal that playoff game. Now, granted, against the Vikings had like a high school defense. I mean, their defense was just straight trash in 2022. Isaiah Hodgins, his one foot was like purple. It was just amazing. He caught like 8 passes in the playoff game. I mean, he played like the last half of the season for us, and it really had a great season. And then we were somehow never able to rekindle that. Now, one thing was in 2022, the offensive line was relatively healthy. Andrew Thomas was healthy, and we had a healthy Saquon Barkley, healthy Daniel Jones the whole season. We had the running game going, the threat of Daniel Jones and Saquon out of the backfield kind of maybe helped open things up maybe a little bit. Because then the following season, 2023, that's when Daniel Jones got injured early on, and then he got injured again. He got injured against the Dolphins. Then he got injured against the Raiders. Then the season was over with. Then we had, Tommy Chicken Cutler Parmesan was in there. Tyrod Taylor was in there. So we had a bunch of different quarterbacks in there and everything. But then he just kind of disappeared. He was like on the practice squad and stuff. It's like, well, I don't know, I mean, some of it just. Then when Daboll first came here, Slayton was on it was just like on the practice squad. It was just like he got, demoted. Now, I'm not saying he's a number 1 wide receiver or nothing. I'm not saying that, but he should. I know he has his drops. I know, but he did have a pretty good game against the Bears. But all he did every year on a crappy offense was actually at least 700 yards in receptions and 15 yards of reception, 700 yards for the total for the year. And when Daboll comes in, he winds up Slayton's like on the practice squad. It's like, what happened to Slayton? Why is he on the practice squad? Why does Coach Daboll have all these other guys here and Slayton's on the practice squad? What's going on? Some of the things like with Daboll just, it's like, hey, Isaiah Hodgins, okay, he's doing pretty good. He's all right. And like a year or so later, it's like, where is he? What happened to him? It's like he did good there, so he can do good. And now he's not part of the team anymore. What's going? Did all of a sudden he just start sucking? I mean, what's going on with the guy? That was one of the things I always kind of scratch my head a little bit about with Daboll. But hey, he's back. The nice thing is, some of his receivers he's familiar with. He's familiar with the system. He's familiar with Kafka. So there's a lot of familiarity there. With it's not like he's got to come in, and we got him off of somebody's practice squad, so he's on the 53. So it's not like he's got to come in and start learning a whole bunch of new plays. I mean, obviously there's some things have changed a little bit, but yeah, he's got a lot of familiarity there. So I'm really glad that Kafka, brought him back. That's good. I mean, I don't know why Daboll didn't want him, but Daboll's gone, so Kafka's got him back. So cool. I'm pulling for him. So popular wide receiver finally returning to the New York Giants. Isaiah Hodgins is back in blue. Should help the wide receiver group. Yes, he should. Giants are signing Hodgins, who starred for them during their improbable run to the playoffs off the Pittsburgh Steelers practice squad. This move comes several weeks after a season-ending injury to Malik Nabers, and then a hamstring injury to Darius Slayton left the Giants without enough reliable wide receivers. Hodgins, of course, played in the offense Mike Kafka now runs for the Giants from 2022 to 2024. So now he's back in 2025. So Hodgins, this will be the fourth straight season he's been with the Giants. But 2022, I'll show you his stats, in a minute or so here, and then after that is he just started, the 2023, his stats got a little less, and 2024, I think he played just like 2 games last season, and then of course this year he's not even on the team. So he should provide Jameis Winston this week and Jaxson Dart, hopefully for the remainder of the season, with a reliable target for an offense that has been badly lacking in the wide receiver depth. And he's 6'3" too. Now he's not whatever. He's not 5'11", 5'10". He's not blinding speed or anything like that, but he's a nice size. He's got a nice height to him. Hodgins has spent most of the season on the Steelers practice squad after being released by the 49ers in late August, when cuts to the 53-man roster limit were made. Big Blues View's Chris Flum had this immediate reaction when the news broke. There are 2 questions. Why did it take this long to re-sign Hodgins? All I can think of is Daboll. I mean, whatever his issue was with him, I don't know. Why did he fall out of favor with the Giants in the first place? Well, he couldn't have fallen out of favor with Kafka. Now, to be granted, or to be fair, whatever, if Malik Nabers was here, still healthy, if Slayton was healthy and all of that, Hodgins probably would not be on the 53 because maybe Kafka might want him, but he'd have to put him on the practice squad, and you can't take a guy from one team's practice squad and put him on your practice squad. Take him from their practice squad, meaning the Steelers, you got to put him on your 53. So, but that's it. I don't know. It's like, what happened to the guy? I'm not saying the guy is, OBJ or nothing like that. Oh, this guy's he's a Hall of Famer. Why did we let him go? No, I'm not saying that. But it's like, the guy did okay. I mean, Hodgins was claimed off waivers by the Giants on November 2nd, 2022, off the Bills practice squad, and immediately became an impact player. After languishing with the Bills and catching only 4 passes over 3 seasons with Buffalo after being a 6th-round draft pick in 2020, he quickly turned into a favorite target for Daniel Jones. He caught 33 passes for 351 yards, 10.6 yards per catch, and 4 touchdowns in the regular season. And that was only like half the season. I'll show you in a second. So you figure at that pace, he was on pace for about 65 receptions, for about 700 yards, and 8 touchdowns for the whole season. Not super spectacular numbers, but hey, get some guy off of somebody's practice squad, it's not bad. Then, despite playing with a fractured foot, and you ever see his ankle was just purple. He had 8 catches for 105 yards and a touchdown. The Giants' 31-24 playoff victory over the Vikings. Now, as I said once again, the Vikings' defense was horrible. Really horrible. Despite that, he was pushed down the depth chart in 2023 when he started only 9 of 17 games and caught just 21 passes for 230 yards and 3 touchdowns. 2024, he dropped even further when he was cut and re-signed to the Giants practice squad. He appeared in 3 games for the Giants with 2 receptions. He signed with the 49ers after the season. So, now let me see here. Let me share my screen. I'll show you. All right, Mr. Hodgins, where are you here? There we go. With Buffalo, he was in 1 game, and in 2022, he was with the 2 teams, right? He was with Buffalo. He caught 4 passes for Buffalo. Then the Giants got him. So, he played in 10 games. I'm sorry, no, 2020, 8 games. So he played half the season. He started 5 games. So he was only a starter in 5 games, but he played in like about half the games. There was 17 games, so actually not even half, but just say half. Right? He caught 33 passes, so he was, at the whole season, he was on pace for at least 65 receptions. Not bad for getting somebody off of somebody's practice squad for 700 yards, and he would have had 8 touchdowns. And 10.6 yards a reception. It's not too bad. Certainly like a little bit more than that, but I'll take that. Then, as I said, the next season, he played in every game, but he only started half of them. And he went up with 21 catches. Now, the one problem, as I said, was that, that was the season when Andrew Thomas got injured, right? The first game of the season. After the first drive, Andrew Thomas pulls his hamstring. So the offensive line was never the same the whole rest of the season. Daniel Jones got injured twice. We had to put Tommy DeVito in. We had Tyrod Taylor in there. Then we had Tommy DeVito in there. I think Tyrod Taylor came back off of injury, and we had Tommy DeVito back in. It was just a freaking mess, absolute freaking mess. But so he played in every game, but he only had 21 receptions. And then last season, he played in 3 games. He had 2 receptions. He had 2 targets, caught them both for 12 yards. So let's see. Let's see what he can do. Let me show you. Let me share screen here. Video. Share screen. All right. Share you his PFF. All right. Here we go. Now, they put him in the slot a little bit, not much, about like 17, 18%. So usually about 80% of the time he's out wide, but he can play in the slot. So you can move him around a little bit. Now he's 6'3", right? 6'3", so 6'4". I think Pro Football Reference has him at 6'3". What do we got? Yeah, Pro Football Reference has him at 6'3". PFF has him at 6'4". So he's tall. 201 pounds. Right? He's not, he's not a hulking wide receiver, but he's certainly got some height to him. But this is 2022. He played with Buffalo, the 2 games with Buffalo. And here's where he came with the Giants in 2022. He graded out really well at a 76. I mean, you see a lot of green and whatever this color is, mustard, yellow, whatever this is. That's really good. He's got a lot of good solid numbers here. Look, 80, 70, 70, 63. All right. 70, 70, 67, 66, 68. He's got a lot of good, he graded out really well. Now, part of this also was because we had our offensive line was healthy, and we did have a good running game. So that might have had something to do with it. Obviously, a good running game, especially when you got the quarterback who can run, and then you got Saquon Barkley in the backfield, does have a tendency, to open up things, right? But he had a very, very good. I would say where we at here. See, in 2022 in the slot, he was in the slot 17% of the time. He was out wide 82. So most of the time, 4 out of every 5 plays, he's out wide. So, but you can put him both. It was the same thing the following season. It was just about 2023. That's when he played every game he played in. Same thing here, right? 17.6 in the slot. Let me scroll this down a little bit. Yeah, in the slot, 17%, 17.6. Out wide, 82.4. So it's like the same thing. Like 1 out of every 5 snaps, he's in the slot. 4 out of every 5, he's out wide. But you could put him either way, either or. But also see, like, what this is also telling me here, too, right? Obviously, like, see, now to be fair, we had Tyrod Taylor throwing him the ball. We had Tommy Chicken Cutler Parmesan throwing him the ball. We had a very scared Daniel Jones throwing him the ball. So he only caught 65.6% of his targets. The 230 yards, he had 3 touchdowns all season long, and 11 yards of receptions. So it was a horrible season, absolutely horrible season, right? But the one thing I do like, obviously, about with Mr. Hodgins is that he's been relatively healthy. So even when he had a fractured foot or something like that, he still played and caught 8 passes for over 100 yards and a touchdown in the playoff game. So, but I'm very, very excited. We got him back, so that was a good move on Kafka's part. I was who else had a say in it, or hey, you might want to get see if we get Hodgins or what, but he's back. But unfortunately, you get one, and unfortunately, you wind up losing another guy. So now the Broncos, but once again, familiarity, right? The Giants had Hodgins 2022, 2023, and 2024. A lot of familiarity. He's familiar with the Giants. Giants are familiar with him. Giants brought him back. Now he's on their 53-man roster. Same thing here with the Broncos. Familiarity. The Broncos signed Humphrey off of our practice squad and put him on. Now the one thing is that I did a video last time I went live. When was that? Monday. And it was really funny because little, he's not very little, leads the league in separation percentage. Now, it's like 70.37% of the time that there's an opportunity for separation. Like, meaning, I don't mean like separation when they were the stats that they were bringing up, like if it's zone coverage, right? And he's running a route and everybody's backing off on him. Everybody's just kind of, got a space. They got an area. No, the separation for the most part is that when there's an opportunity, when somebody's covering you, when somebody's on you, and you're creating separation between you and the defender. He leads the NFL, little Jordan Humphrey, in separation percentage. He's number 1. And he's on our practice squad. Yeah, that's one thing you want. Yeah, separation. It's very difficult to complete a pass when somebody's all over you. But if you get some separation, now you're open. Now the ball gets thrown your way. And so it also was kind of weird because, I don't want to say not that Dart and little Jordan Humphrey were, attached at the hip or something like that. But he did throw his first career touchdown pass to little Jordan Humphrey. Of course, that was in preseason. That was against backups, so I get it. But it's just, I don't know. It just some things just, I don't know. It's just weird. It is weird. But you never say never because little Jordan Humphrey might wind up coming back again someday. So who knows? But unfortunately, we wound up losing him to the Broncos. Little Jordan Humphrey returns to the Broncos, ready to make an impact after a short stint with the Giants. Little Jordan Humphrey is back with the Broncos, who signed him off the Giants practice squad this week. Well, it works out good for him. He's going from a 2-18 to one that's 8-2, and it just goes to show you, the thing that just kind of really just ticks you off. We beat the Eagles, who were 7-2. We beat the Chargers, who I think like 7-3 or something like that. We went on the road, and we should have beaten the Broncos, who were 8-2. We played very. We should have beaten the Bears. Of course, we didn't, but we should have. And the Bears are like 6-3 or something like that. I mean, we've beaten the two teams we've beaten. What would that be? 14-5. The two teams, and then there's other teams that have winning records we should have beaten too. It just goes to show you, we're able to play with some good teams. But so for Humphrey anyway, he goes from a team that's 2-8 to the team that's tied, or actually might be we're tied for maybe the best record in all of football. They either have the best record in all of football, or they're tied for the best record because nobody has just one loss. Little Jordan said, "It's cool. I feel like I never left, honestly. I feel like I'm getting right back in the swing of things with these guys," Humphrey said on Thursday. Humphrey is expected to play a role in both special teams and offense Sunday when the Broncos host the Chiefs. That's going to be a huge freaking game for them because the Chiefs are 5-4. Not saying if the Chiefs were to lose on Sunday, they knock themselves out of the playoffs. No. But, the Broncos are 8-2. I mean, the last team you want to see is the Chiefs. They've started slow before in years past, and at the end of the season, they somehow catch fire, and they obviously win to go through, of course, with the help of the refs, make it through the playoffs, and then they get to the Super Bowl. Because I don't care what you say, the refs are helping the Chiefs. I don't give a rat's rear end. But, I mean, if the Broncos could win and go 9-2 and put the Chiefs at 5-5, that would put you at 3.5 games up on the Chiefs. That would be huge with 6 games to go, 3.5. So that would, you get some separation. So that's a huge game for the Broncos. Humphrey played for the Broncos coach Sean Payton in New Orleans at the start of his career and in Denver in 2023 and 2024 before he signed with the Giants in free agency last spring. Payton said one of his strengths is his football IQ. He can play a lot of different spots, and you know exactly what you're going to get from him. And that's a really good trait to have as a player. And you can put him in these places here where you could excel. It was unusual seeing him on the opponent's sideline a few weeks back, but we're glad to have him back. Where are we at here? Oops. Whether due to an injury or inconsistent play or both, the Broncos added some familiar help to their wide receiving group on Wednesday, signing Lil Jordan Humphrey off the Giants practice squad. Humphrey now returns to the Broncos' 53-man roster after spending the last 2 seasons under the watch of head coach Sean Payton, who is more than content to reunite with the 27-year-old. Humphrey's addition was among a slew of moves made by the Broncos this week. The team also signed offensive tackle Garen Christian off the Cowboys practice squad. They have some injury issues. Humphrey is the 6th wide receiver on the Broncos' active roster, joining Cortland Sutton, Troy Franklin, Pat Bryant, Marvin Mims, and Trent Sherfield. Although an able pass catcher, he's better known as an elite blocker on screens and run plays along the perimeter. In that case, Humphrey could assume the role currently occupied by Sherfield, who did not practice on Wednesday due to a toe injury. Sherfield was signed this offseason for his blocking and special teams prowess, and neither has amounted to much of a net positive through 10 games. So enter Lil Jordan Humphrey. So, once again, good for him. That just goes also to show you, right? Everything you do, you're writing your resume. Everything. You're only like one snap away, one play away from maybe getting elevated to the practice squad. You never want to burn no bridges. Maybe if the Broncos didn't re-sign you, don't want to start saying all kinds of bad things or this, that, the other thing. You don't want to burn a bridge because you never know. I mean, there's a long season, 17 games. That's a long season. A lot of guys get injured. You can only have you can't put 38 wide receivers on a roster. You can only have so many active because of all these dime packages and nickel packages and all the special teams players and all. You only got so much room for a lot of wide receivers, and especially if you're not a starter, you better be able to play special teams. So so you always got to be. As I said, you don't want to burn a bridge. You always got to be prepared. Always be ready. You never know when you're going to get a chance. And as I said, the one nice thing about when a team signs you off another team's practice squad, they have to put you on the 53-man roster, which means you get a little bump in pay, because it depends upon how many years of service you have if you're on if you're on the practice squad. But I think it's like if you only have a few years of experience, like 1 to 4 years or so of experience, I mean, not bad. I think it's like $14,000 or $15,000 a week you get. It's not bad. I'll take it. But obviously, a game check is worth a lot more than just $14,000 to $15,000 a week. So now the interesting thing is also that they have to put it on to 53. It doesn't mean necessarily that he's going to wind up playing in the Sunday's game, but I'll have to wait and see. But I wish him certainly nothing but the best. But so we lost little Jordan Humphrey, 6'3", 6'4" wide receiver, and then we got Hodgins, who's a 6'3", 6'4" wide receiver. So I don't know. I just didn't elevate. I don't know. It is what it is. Things that make you go home. But I am very excited that Hodgins back. Now, once again, actually both teams here with the Packers too. They have quite a few players listed on the injury report, shall we say. Obviously, now Graham Gano is on injury reserve, so Young Hoku will once again be taking the kicking duties. Let's not forget, it was a couple of years ago. Might have been quite a few years ago. It might have been 2021. Might have been Judge's last season here with the Giants. We were playing the Falcons in MetLife Stadium. The Giants were dominating the game. It's same old, same old. For the first like 3 quarters or so, we were winning. I think we were winning like 14-7. Then all of a sudden, we couldn't move the ball anymore. Shocking, I know. Couldn't score any more points. Shocking, I know. And then we were totally outplaying the Falcons for the first 3 quarters. Same thing as this season, right? Just totally outplaying the team. And of course, we let them hang around long enough that they wound up coming back and winning. Well, I think it was 14-7 with the Falcons. And then, of course, the Falcons scored a touchdown and make it 14-14. We got the ball back. We couldn't move it. We kicked it to the Falcons, and then they just, of course, methodically just moved down in the field goal range, and Young Hoku kicked the game-winning field goal as time expired. So he is familiar with MetLife Stadium. Of course, he grew up around here in North Jersey, so this is kind of like home away from home for him. So he'll be the kicker. But the Giants do have quite a little laundry list of guys who are injured. Now, to go over real fast here, the practice squad there. Let's go over the practice squad there. All right, so we got Swaze Bozeman, Dalen Cambry. We got the 2 Elijahs. We got Chapman and Garcia, both defensive tackles on the practice squad. And once again, Chapman was played for us last year, and now this year he's on the practice squad. And when we have been elevating defensive tackle, it was earlier in the season, but we were elevating Elijah Garcia, not Chapman. Zach Davidson, tight end. Trace Ford, Elijah Garcia, Reed Holsky, an offensive lineman, Brian Hudson, center, Jake Kubis, Raheem Lane, Jude McAtamney, Ray McLeod, Dante Miller, I'm going to talk about him in a little bit, Jordan Riley, and Ben Sauls, and then Amir Smith-Marset. So we have basically on the practice squad, we have 3 kickers. We get Ben Sauls, too, who we brought in for a tryout. So we have Ben Sauls, Young Ho Koo, and Jude McAtamney. We have 3 kickers on our practice squad. But let's see. Let's go over the injury report here. And I'll go over the Packers injury report as well, too. Giants took the field on Thursday for their second of 3 practices ahead of the Week 11 game against the Packers at MetLife Stadium. Beforehand, the team's 3 coordinators addressed reporters, and then interim head coach Mike Kafka briefly spoke. As his predecessors generally did, Kafka updated the status on several injured players, including rookie quarterback Jaxson Dart, who remains in concussion protocol. He said no big changes to the injury report, Kafka said. Ultimately, that means Dart is still in the middle of protocol and unlikely to play on Sunday as expected. That paves the way for Jameis Winston to start his first game of the year for the Giants. It also is bad news for a handful of other players, including the Giants. We got the Giants injury report. Guys who did not participate in practice on Thursday was obviously Jaxson Dart with a concussion. Chauncey Golston, once again, with a neck. I have no idea. Absolutely, unbelievably, absolutely no idea why he's not on the injured reserve. Every week, he does not participate. He has a neck injury. I have no idea why Garcia or Chapman is not elevated or Jordan Riley. Why? This guy every week takes up a roster spot, and he has a problem with his neck every freaking week. Every week. He never participates. Evan Neal. He did not practice, and he has a hamstring, and he hasn't even played a snap all season long, and he's got a hamstring. Tyler Nubin with his neck. Joaquin Nunez-Roches with a toe. Bobby Okereke now has a shoulder issue, where a little thin on the inside interior linebacker position. Darius Slayton with a hamstring, and Kayvon Thibodeau's got a shoulder. So, and we got the guys who did not participate. 8 guys did not participate. 5 of them on the defensive side. We might be thin once again on the defensive side. Guys who are limited. Paulson Adebo with a knee. Daniel Bellinger with a groin. Victor Dimukeji with a shoulder. John Michael Schmitz with his shin. Jermaine Illuminor with a pec. Thomas Fedoni with a foot. Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles with a pec. And Neville Hewitt with a foot. So we got, if you're looking at linebackers, right? You got Neville Hewitt, Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles, Victor Dimukeji, 3 inside linebackers who are limited. Then, of course, you get Bobby Okereke, who did not participate because of his shoulder. And then, of course, Mike McFadden's out. So we're really scraping the bottom of the barrel here as far as interior, middle linebackers. And another one of the problems, they have, obviously, with the run game. Yeah, because the defensive line can do so much more, but you got to have the guys in the back that come up and fill the gaps and all. And, if Bobby Okereke can't go, I mean that's a lot of tackles. He's on pace for I forgot how many tackles. I think going into the game last week, I think he had 82 tackles, and he had let me see what was he have. I mean he's on pace for a lot of tackles. A lot of tackles this season. So we'll have to wait and see if he can go or not. He did not participate on Thursday, and he was also held out of Wednesday's practice. Let's see here. The stats here. What do we got? Regular season 44. What are they talking about here? Blinds. Let's see, combined teams 26, 34, 38, 48, 60, 68, 78, 82. He has 88 tackles. I guess he might have got hurt against the Bears. Maybe. But he has 88 tackles. So he's on pace for well over 100 tackles. But obviously, not if he can't play. So we'll have to wait and see. But, the interior, the middle linebackers, whatever you want to call them. Giants are scraping the bottom of the barrel. The Packers, they got some injuries too, but the Giants had 16 guys were listed. Once again, really be a good time for the Giants to get their what would you call it, bye week, but it's not for quite some time. Then of course, see Graham Gano got placed on injured reserve. All right, so we got the Packers this Thursday. Adrian Cooper, their linebacker, he had a foot, but he was full participation on Thursday. Romeo Doubs, the wide receiver with the chest, he was full participation. Let's see, Kingsley and Agbar, the defensive lineman, he was limited. He has a knee. Matthew Golden, a wide receiver, he has a shoulder. He was limited. Nate Hobbs, a cornerback, he has a knee. He did not participate. Micah Parsons, he has a pectoral. He was limited. Zach Tom, an offensive lineman with a back, he was limited. Lucas Van Ness, he was a defensive lineman. He's got a foot. He was limited. Quay Walker, a linebacker, he has a calf. He was full participation. Christian Watson, a wide receiver, he has a knee and a hamstring. He was limited. Dontavian Wicks, that's my last name. We're not related, though. Wide receiver. He has a calf. He was limited. And Savion Williams, a wide receiver. He has a foot. He was limited. So they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of the guys listed are wide receivers. So that also might be obviously one of the reasons why 2 is that, maybe they're so banged up at wide receiver. That might have been one of the reasons why maybe they didn't score any more than 7 points against the Eagles, I guess. But so they got quite a few wide receivers who are at least on the injury report now. How many of them wind up not playing in the game? We'll have to wind up waiting to see. But the Giants got some injuries, but so do the Packers. Very, very interesting. But one thing. On a good note, the Giants line, the offensive line, let me tell you what, one of it is the continuity, okay, but it has much improved over seasons from the past, that's for sure. Of course, one of the big things, too, is obviously Andrew Thomas's stellar play. Jermaine Oluminor, the 2 tackles have been very, very good. Luminor has missed a game or so, obviously, because of injury. But John Michael Schmitz has missed a couple games with injury, but we're still chugging right along. The one thing is helped is that in the interior with Van Roten and Runyon, they played, I think, like every snap. Haven't missed a snap. So the continuity is very, very important. Very, very important. And I'll tell you what, they've done a very good job. I'll show you the PFF grades. They are their passing grade is very good. Very, very good. So that's one thing. Hopefully, I mean, whoever the next head coach is, hopefully they keep Carmen Basillo around because he's done a phenomenal job with this cast of characters. A phenomenal job. I mean, I'll be really pissed off if the new coach who comes in, whoever that is, man, it might be Kafka. Who knows? And then we keep Carmen Basillo, but I mean, I'll be really pissed off if Carmen Basillo gets let go by the Giants, by like the new head coach, and whoever the new head coach brings in his own guy and winds up stinking. I mean, I don't. The one thing is, with Shane being here, and obviously if he's still going to be the GM going forward and all, hopefully he'll have a say in the matter. But I'd really be pissed off because it's not saying we have the best offensive line. Certainly not saying that. But they're playing very, very well. And for the first time in quite some time to actually be able to say that, that's saying something. John Michael Schmitz is doing well. Marcus Bowe is done very, very well. Jermaine Illuminor has played very well. Andrew Thomas has done a phenomenal job. So let me show you. Oh, first of all, we got this here. Giants offensive line is trending upwards heading into Week 11. The Giants offensive line moved up 3 spots in Pro Football Focus Week 11 rankings. A lot has gone wrong with the Giants over the last couple of weeks, but there has been one positive, a consistent improvement in the offensive line. Since left tackle Andrew Thomas returned to a full-time role, the line has been the strength of the Giants' offense. Injuries and inconsistency have ravaged the offense as a whole. However, the offensive line has steadily improved. The Lions' consistent improvement, as well as their strong play against Chicago, has earned them recognition from Pro Football Focus in their weekly offensive line rankings. The Giants' offensive line moved up 3 spots in PFF's ranking, checking in at number 11 overall. The rise in the rankings was largely due to their strong performance in Week 10. The Giants' offensive line held the Bears to just 7 overall pressures and 1 sack and 43 dropbacks, earning the team a 90.7 PFF pass blocking grade, good for 3rd overall in Week 10. The offensive line's becoming a strength has been a surprise for the Giants. PFF analyst Sultan Boudet, I'm going to say, believes that this is in large part due to the strong play of right tackle Jermaine Illuminor, who has earned an 84.9 PFF pass block grade since Week 6. Whew. And this is his last season for the Giants. Let's hope we can bring him back. Okay. So right tackle Jermaine Illuminor, who's earned an 84.9 PFF pass blocking grade since Week 6, which leads all players at the position over that period, according to Bidet. He's number 1 at the right tackle, I guess, position. Right tackle position. But Week 11 against the Packers presents a tough challenge for the Giants squad, dealing with changes across the board. The offensive line continuing to play at a high level could help alleviate any issues that came with an interim head coach and backup quarterback making their debut. Packers have been relatively successful at attacking opposing quarterbacks this season, currently 13th in the league with 22 sacks. Although middle of the league in overall sack production, they have a talented duo in Micah Parsons and Rashawn Gary that could frustrate Jameis Winston in his first start of the season. Ahead of the Packers in the overall sack rankings are the Broncos and the Chargers, 2 teams that the Giants have played previously this season and saw successful performances from their offensive line. The Packers currently have the 5th-ranked rushing defense in the NFL, and they have allowed only 1 opposing running back to rush for over 100 yards against them this season. And they held Saquon Barkley to, I think it was like 54 yards. He had 18 carries for 54 yards. He averaged 3 yards a carry against. I mean, it was just unbelievable. They held the Eagles to 10 points, and they couldn't win the football game. I couldn't believe it. Absolutely just could not believe it. But let me show you what the let me share my screen. I'll show you the PFF grades. Now I said they have the Giants offensive line at like number 11 overall. But I'll show you what their let's see here. Okay, show you what their blocking grades are. But the pass blocking grade, the Giants for this season, right, regular and postseason. All right, so we'll go to pass blocking. I think they're number 6, right? Number 6. I mean, look at this. right? The Bears have a winning record. The Eagles have a winning record. The Bills have a winning record. The Chiefs have a winning record. The Colts have a winning record. And it's also one of the reasons why Daniel Jones is doing so well. When you're basically standing behind one of the best, if not the best, offensive line in all of football, that kind of helps. But, I mean, and then, of course, the Broncos, they're 8-2. They're 8-2. The Chiefs are 5-4, 6-3, 7-2. The Bears are 6-3. The Patriots are 8-2. You know what I mean? So, you see good pass blocking usually helps you win football games. Of course, not with the Giants. But the Giants are number 6 overall. Pass blocking. So the Giants average 70.1. The Eagles are 71. The Eagles are 7-2. Giants are 2-8, but the Eagles' pass block rate is only 0.9 points better, according to PFF. Now, the run defense is a little bit different. The Giants' run blocking is it's still like middle of the pack, though, run blocking. They were 17. Was that what the heck they were? 17, yeah. Giants are number 17, pass blocking. Run blocking, I'm sorry. Like we had it. Run blocking, 61.8. So it does leave a little bit to be desired. But a running game is 81.6. Look where our running game is. We're in the top 5. We top 5? Top 6, our running game. A lot of that's got to do with Jaxson Dart, too. Right? But our running game, 81.6. So even though our blocking is middle of the pack, our running game, according to PFF, is top 6. So once again, a lot of that's got to do with Jaxson Dart. But the offensive line. One of the big things is that guys have been staying healthy. Continuity. Let me see here. Hold on. Let me check this out here. Let's check it. I didn't even think about this. I wanted to look at the preseason here. Okay. Pass blocking. Wow. Yeah. Wow. Let me share my screen once again here. I guess I shouldn't have X'd out of it. Share the screen. Where are we at here? Okay. This goes to show you. Look at this. Where the Giants ranked at in the preseason. Look at this. Pass blocking. Number 1, the Giants. 75.6, their pass blocking grade. So their pass blocking, is really done really good. And of course, this is not include. I mean, the starting offensive unit did not play much at all in the preseason. So this is obviously what we're talking about here is, the second string, the third string, and all. And we led the entire NFL in the preseason with a 75.6 pass block grade. That's pretty darn good. Now the run blocking here, 69.2. So that's pretty much about, the Giants were averaging like a 60 or 60. Well, in preseason, 69.2. So they're tied with the Rams for 8th. So, I mean, if you look at that, in the preseason, okay, 2025, preseason, pass blocking, Giants are number 1, 75.6. Run blocking, the Giants are tied for 8th with the Rams, 69.2. So, the Carmen Basil has really done a fantastic job. And a lot of that's kind of flying under the radar. A lot of people talking about a lot of, obviously nothing but the negative stuff that's going wrong with the Giants. But the offensive line has been a strength. As I said, we've had some guys that missed some time. Obviously, Andrew Thomas missed a little bit in the beginning. But since he's been back, he's been in there. Runyon and Roten, the R&R, our 2 guards, played, I think, every snap. John Michael Schmitz has missed a couple games. We'll have to wait and see if he's able to play this weekend. But, the backup center, I believe it's Schlotman, he's done very well. And I said, and Illuminor has done fantastic, although now he's missed a game or so. But you got Marcus Bowe in there. And one of the games against Bowe, I think had like a run blocking grade of 82. So I'm going to tell you, these guys haven't played every snap together for the whole season, but we've only had so many guys we've had to put in there. And as I said, between Roten and Runyon, we've had a lot of continuity in there. And I said, well, Andrew Thomas, ever since Andrew Thomas, right, we've always had Andrew Thomas, we've had Runyon, and we've had Roten play every snap since once Andrew Thomas got in there. So, the offensive line is definitely a strength. Once again, of course, not many people are talking about that because, the only thing people want to talk about is what's wrong, what's going on, what's the negatives that we can talk about. But tell you what, one of the positive, the big time positive is the offensive line. And, for so long, why don't we fix the offensive line? When are we going to fix the offensive line? That's all you hear. Well, I'm saying it's not fixed because, you get a couple of injuries, you put some backups in there, you don't have that continuity, and things can kind of go down the dumper pretty quickly. But as of right now, the offensive line is really playing very, very well. It's not a top 5 unit or something like that, but it's according to PFF, it's number 11. Right? But also, more importantly, it gives the Giants an opportunity to win a football game. That's all you can ask for. Now, when you got a lot of high-profile guys on the defense and some high-profile guys on the offense, you're paying some money for high draft picks and stuff like that. And you don't have maybe a lot of high draft capital, whatever, allocated to your offensive line, or you don't have a lot of maybe money, big-time money allocated to the offensive line. Can they give you a chance to win? And the answer is yes. The Giants' offensive line this season has given the New York Football Giants a chance to win. That's all you can ask for. And then finally, I think it's time for Mr. Turbo Miller. I want to really, really see does, because we've only had Singletary, right, over the past couple of games. Well, basically, ever since, we had Tracy got injured, then we had Singletary, and we had Scatterbill. Then Tracy came back, and we had three guys for like a week or so. Then Scatterbill got injured. Now all we're playing with is like 2 running backs, right? So I like to see Turbo Miller. Really, really would like to see him get in there and see what he can wind up doing. In the preseason, he really did well. I mean, I remember quite a few times with, especially with the screen passes, and obviously, of course, to be fair, he, we're going up against, he's going up when he's on the field. He's going up against. Let me see. I'm trying to look right here. Yeah, he doesn't. He has no stats. He has nothing. Turbo Miller, nothing this season. Absolutely has absolutely nothing. Doesn't have a rushing attempt. No pass receptions. Nothing. Now, as I said, to be fair, when we were in the preseason, he's going up against second stringers and third stringers, guys that didn't make the other club's teams. So I get it. But, I'll tell you what, he really, really, did a phenomenal job with some of those screen passes. And, man, that guy is fast. I really want to see, as I said, let's see what Kafka is starting to think about here. Right? Do we want to have 3 running backs? I mean, something goes wrong with 2 running, of course, you never want that to happen. But something goes wrong with 2 running backs. It's like, who's going to be the other running back? I mean, I guess we have to put one of the tight ends. Might have to put Bellinger back there as an H-back or something. I don't know. But I really would like to see Turbo Miller in there. Oh, yeah, there. Here we go. So, Then it says here, the Giants, obviously this was, whatever. When Scadaboo got injured. The Giants' next move after the brutal Cam Scadaboo injury is painfully obvious. It's turbo time. No matter how you slice it, likely losing Scadaboo to the season-ending dislocated ankle injury is about as bad as news as you can get. The Giants' rookie running back has been the ultimate spark plug and fan favorite for a fan base star for anything exciting to watch these past couple of years. Unfortunately, the season is still far from over. Obviously, now we're sitting at 2-8. There's still 7 games left to play in another already forgettable campaign. That means the Big Blue will have to figure out what life looks like without their electric telephone pole-hitting doodle offensive weapon. Second-year running back Tyrone Tracy Jr. is the obvious next man up, which he is, and he'll carry the load. But the G-men are looking for another jolt of energy from someone who's flashed all summer and is familiar with the system. They don't have to look too far. Dante Turbo Miller is right there on the practice squad, and he's exactly the kind of player who can step in and bring some juice back into East Rutherford. Giants should call up Dante Turbo Miller to replace Cam Scadaboo. Now, it's one of those things that you're never gonna, the reporters ask, especially with Daboll, and he gives you the same kind of vanilla kind of answer. We thought about the scheme and this, bringing people up, and what's best for the team, and what's best for the offense and the defense, and he gives you the same spiel and all that. It'd be interesting to see, what winds up happening here with Kafka now in charge. Do we go with 3 running backs? Because he is, a change of pace. The problem is that he's rather on the small side. He could be a liability as far as blocking. Now, if you bring him in there on 3rd down or something, and they start sending the house, right? Is he going to be able to step up in there and do some pass protection? There's that, or there's also if they blitz, you try to maybe make them pay, especially if Turbo Miller's in there. You're in a shotgun, and they have him. Dude's fast. Ain't going to take him long to get out of the back. So if Jameson can have a second or so, step back and try to dump it off. Obviously, somebody would be assigned to Turbo to covering him. But if you can get the guy out in space, guy's fast, really fast. He did a phenomenal job in preseason. Once again, it was preseason. It's against teams that got players that may not even made the team's roster. I get it, but guy is fast. 26-year-old has an interesting career path to this point. After not being allowed to enter the 2024 draft to an NCAA eligibility issue, the South Carolina Gamecocks standout made his way to the Giants practice squad, and he's been there ever since. Nicknamed Turbos for his exceptional speed. Yep. The speedster is the perfect candidate to round out the running back unit behind Tracy Jr. and Devin Singletary. The last time fans saw Turbo, he was dominating the preseason. Through 3 games, he finished with 26 carries for 80 yards and 14 receptions for 135 yards. Now, his running was, was not super duper exceptional. There was quite a few carries. He got no yards because he's not very big. So if you can get your hand on him, and right, and especially a lot of these guys are probably outweighing him by 100 pounds. If they can get their hands on him, maybe not hard to bring down, but it's not that just the 215 all-purpose yards either. His contributions extend to special teams, where he utilizes his 4.27 40-time speed as a gunner on punt and kick coverages. He's got a lot to offer, making him the perfect candidate to step up. And I said, it's just one of those things. Why is he? You got 2 running backs in the game. You're not going to elevate a 3rd running back? No. And he plays on special teams, too. You can't have a third string running back, and that's all he does. No, I just run. I'm just a running back. I don't do nothing else. No, he can contribute on special teams, and he's fast. He's the fastest guy on the team. With the preseason standout already on the practice squad, it seems very unlikely that General Manager Joe Schoen looks to add a running back number 3. Obviously, this is before the draft, the trade deadline. The second-year undrafted free agent is familiar with head coach Daboll's system. Now it's Kafka's system, I guess, which gives him a clear leg up on anyone else. The Giants can't afford to overcomplicate it. It's Miller time. I like that article. It's Miller time. Once again, we'll have to wait and see. Kafka is he's the commander in chief. So it's time for him to put his stamp on this team, and we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see what he does. But he's Miller's certainly a change of pace. Now, of course, you don't want to. One of the things you certainly don't want to do is every time you bring Miller in, it's going to be Miller's in the game. Again, the ball's going to go to him. And obviously, you can't do it. That you can't do. But if you somehow get him in there for whatever 15 plays and get the ball in his hands 5-6 times, especially maybe out in space where he can use that 4.27 speed. Because if he can make the first guy miss, he's off and running. It can be tough to catch him. And you saw it in the preseason. Some of those screen passes. I mean, I remember. I think it was the Buffalo game. I think it was. A few times, once again, it was against backups. I get it. But it was a few times. It was like 3rd and 13, and he get like 14 yards. One time, I think we had like 17 or 18 yards to go on 3rd down. He picked up the first down. It would really, I think it would be fantastic if the Giants could elevate him. Right? Let's see what the guy can do. All right, guys, been 1 hour and 22 minutes. Whoever spent any time listening to me live, thank you. Or if anybody's going to spend any time watching the replay this, once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It means the world to me. As always, you guys stay safe out there and go Giants! Woo! Oh, yeah.